Short little reminder here, we have a few more of the field centers left and actually under 10 of the deck box left. I'll leave a link down below so you can grab yours today. Let's pass on over to the Nebraska Regional breakdown. The Nebraska Regional has come and gone, and this is probably one of the more meta-filled top cuts that I've seen, with a slight glimmer of hope for what is to come. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more Oz content. 5 of the top 8 for this event was none other than tier elements. Now, I do think it is interesting to note here that all of the variants of, tier that you can kind of see do show little differences within the evolutions of the format. Brandon in High Spirits here is about to take off and a whole nother evolution as, we step on into the next form here for the next set. So I think that's going to be something very interesting to see as we go forward here, is just what innovations can we add into the pool to kind of show that, there are subtle differences within deck building skills, and do those, little differences really make the difference? I think the answer is yes, they do. Little tech choices will always be king. Now, we also had one Sword Soul deck in Top Cut for this event. Now, Sword Soul has been holding on by the skin of its teeth, man. Like, that deck has been like the rogue contender for so long now. After its Nationals win earlier in the year, we figured that the deck would get hit in some capacity, but no, the deck has had to go through so many weird evolutions in order to keep up with the rest of the pacing of the game. It's definitely been weird. And I will say that every Sword Soul list you see, while some things might still look the same, I think it is always kind of nice to see those little differences here. Now, the thing that made this regional, I guess, really worth talking about was the fact that in between all of this top cut, Crystal Beast made a top cut. Now, before you're like, Robbie, where's the Crystal Beast list? I know you have it. I don't have it. I have every other deck list from this event. I reached out to the duelist. I didn't get an answer back as to getting the chance to share the list. So here's what I can tell you. There's a list that topped in New Zealand out of the past weekend that was Conclave Control. I'm assuming that the list is probably going to be very similar to Conclave Control or some aspect of that. So use that information for what you will. That's now 2 Crystal Beast decks that I've heard about that have had the chance to perform. One out of New Zealand and one out of Nebraska, and we've only had the ability to showcase one of those for you. So do keep that in mind as you're kind of moving forward here for info. I kind of initially thought the Crystal Beast wouldn't take off, considering the format and everything, but that is now, once again, 2 tops that the deck has had. So I'll clap for it. I think that that's quite impressive at the end of the day, that you've seen that deck hold on and do well. And the last deck we had here for Top Cut was Sprite. Sprite continues to hold on to, that little bit of the format that gives it hope. And I think that's a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. Sprite definitely did fall with the loss of Ronan Toden, but I do think it is still very interesting to see just kind of where the format is lying here for things. All right, we're going to pass on over so you can see all of the pretty interesting deck list out of this event, except for the Crystal Beast. Sad. All right, so our first deck list here out of the event is none other than, oh boy, yeah, we're playing the good engine here. So I will tell you, a lot more people have been playing the Fallen of Albaz build as of late. Like, this deck has, I guess, just like your combo potential is a lot higher. I see we have Guardian Chimera here as well. Trust me, like a mid-turn Chimera with like Brandon in red will really mess your opponent up. All right, Guardian Chimera, I think a lot of people were just like, yeah, we're gonna cut it. There's not much of a reason, but like, I don't know. When a format evolves to a point that, people stop kind of factoring for it, that's kind of an important thing. Like, that's your trade-off with, like, this build versus the others, is you play a little bit more of this package, and then you get access to, Masquerade for Burning, Battle Phase Interruptions, and, Mirror Jade being, Mirror Jade out here. Some little interesting things to really consider out here for deck building. How good is it? Well, I mean, it works. Next up here, we have, the Danger Package. Yes. I will tell you that Spell Cancer just kind of moved on into these decks. Tier players were so angry with Mystic Mine running around in the format that they literally just had to evolve to the point that they needed to cut out those troublesome issues. And I think they did a pretty good job at it. All right. I also see that we're playing the one Destrudo here. I mean, hey, free drop in the graveyard for you to go ahead and get another body on the field to continue on. It's another dark to, also facilitate getting into Curious. No Eradicator Epidemic Virus, surprisingly, or any value to get off of a Griffin, because we're not even playing the Griffin. We're just, if we get to the Curious, I feel like we're good to go, but this particular build just went ahead and cut off all that extra fat that you really got for that. I guess they just chose and said, hey, if we think that there's going to be an issue with, mine, I guess we just lose to it, or we get to our spell canceller and hope for the best. All right, as we move on along here. Ooh, this is... What in the world are we doing here? We have King of the Swamps in here. Okay, that's interesting. I also see that we have Effect Veilers, all that other good stuff ready to go here. Shayrens, okay. Quite honestly, the King of the Swamps, I think, might be the most interesting thing here. Also, the inclusion of the little Effect Veilers here is kind of nice. I also see that we are also playing Guardian Chimera down here with the polymerization in the main deck, so you can actually drop this and technically have this be protected through its own claws. Huh. Interesting. We're also playing Abyssal into the Zeus. Huh. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool little interactions that this build chose to do over some of the others. This is a little bit more of a time capsule build, but it definitely looks like it got the job done for sure. Finally, Sword Soul. Okay, so first of all, no super polymerizations in the main deck. I seen recently that a couple of builds were kind of starting to show up. They were trying to mess around with super poly. That's not a terrible idea. I like it, but I think a lot of players at this point in time definitely feel like they would rather just cut it off and not deal with that. Triple Heavenly Dragon Cycle is fine. None of the other one. Triple Emergency, of course. We have Board Breakers present, and we managed to round the deck down to 42. I think some of the more recent Sword Soul builds were trying out slightly heavier variants with 46 and things like that. I also see that we're playing a Lina down here as well. That's kind of an interesting choice. Interesting. Outside of that, your interactions with this deck seem pretty straightforward still. Still Sword Soul. I mean, you only get so much room that you can actually mess around with your ratios. Ah, boy. Another tier list. Now, we're still playing the Danger Package here, which is fine. That's pretty standard. You still see Spell Counselor still maintaining its job here. Now, this is what I like to see. There's the Nightmare Griffin and the Curious. We're also playing the Anti-Scam Fragrance or drop target, so no Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Again, I really like how it looks like Eradicator might have just fallen out of the format. Or, you just trade off Eradicator for the Spell Canceller. What's your opponent going to do? Solemn Judgment, the Spell Canceller? I mean, they only have 3 Solemn Judgments, and you can keep drawing this good card. We're also playing 2 Chaos Hunter down here. I actually kind of like seeing Chaos Hunter show back up into the format and kind of do its job. This is a pretty intimidating card for the opponent to actually have to deal with. Outside of that, I like a lot of their 2-2 ratios here. We also have the Spooky Dogwood in here as well to handle some of our other problems. Yeah, this looks like a pretty normal day for this deck, to be honest with you. Yeah, nothing else too crazy to say about this. Ah, look, it's our Sprite deck. Oh boy, Standard B is Standard B. Who needs to play Deep Sea Diva or any of the other good cards that we've seen in the past? No. Who needs those bad cards? And you have Dark's Beckoning Beast to do the job for you. Alright, I also like the fact that they've just been playing Iprea. Iprea has turned into, the draw card. Also, I mean, to be fair, as soon as you get to that, Sprite Elf every turn's hey, you want to draw some cards? Hey, duelist, you want a free +1? I'll take it. I also love the fact that Gamma Burst being cited as the OTK card. Trust me, if you get enough of a field and you're able to resolve the OTK with this, you're going to have the shittiest grin on your face. Just the fact that this deck has an OTK enabler built into it, it just makes me smile for no real reason. So, yeah, that's your Sprite experience pre-Darkwing Blast. It's definitely something else here. And then as we move forward here, the last list here, there's a 15th card missing from their side deck. The sauce that they didn't want to reveal for the video. So what you're going to be looking at here, some more standard tier elements. for the most part. Standard package in here. We're choosing to play a little bit more of a hand trap package within this build, which is fine. Still playing the Dino Nuggies here to kind of make sure that we can take care of anything. And we have the massive anti-spell fragrances, among other things here, to kind of do your job. All these tier decks look the same at this point, to be honest with you. I'm not really surprised. So that is your Nebraska regional breakdown. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.